My name is Cliff Adams, and I'm 69 years old. I was with the United States Marines in Vietnam in 1968 and 69. I came back from Vietnam in 69. Since then, I've read a lot of books. There have been a lot of books about Vietnam. One that particularly caught my attention was by Tim O'Brien, called The Things They Carried. In many ways, I thought that was a really important book. In the book, Tim says, send guys off to war, they come home talking dirty. I thought originally that meant language, but lately I've realized there's a deeper meaning there. I grew up in Barre, Vermont, and when I was younger, if anything like prostitution was mentioned, prostitutes, it was in relation to Montreal or big cities. When I got to Vietnam in 1968, it didn't take very long before I saw life in a real different light. Maybe I grew up, or maybe I just got hardened or something, but I knew that I might not make it home, as we all did. About midway through my tour, I went on leave to Taipei, Taiwan. There was no question when I went there that I was going to be looking for the bars and the prostitutes. I found this young woman. Her name on the contract that you took out from the bar said her name was Lisa. I had no qualms about spending time with her or spending the $15 a day or whatever it was. And I asked no questions. During my time with this young woman, she actually brought me to her house. She brought me home to where her family was. And I realized that with what she was doing, she was supporting her siblings, her parents, and her grandparents. Now, at the time, I never thought about it. But in the time since, it's really caused me to question, what did this mean about me? What did it mean about her? Or about war in general? I still have a picture of the young woman. We went to a photography studio and had some really good quality pictures taken. And I've often wondered how her life turned out. I mean, at the time, I was 20 years old. I don't think she was more than 18. And now it's 50 years later. So she would be, in the late 60s like me. And now, as I'm approaching 70 years old, I have the time or the inclination to ask philosophical or cosmic style questions. And now looking back, I get a deeper meaning with O'Brien's talking dirty quote. When I came back from leave, I was determined to return back there to Taiwan on my R&R to see her. And that determination actually got me transferred out of my company. The commanding officer threw me out of the company rather than have me be able to have an R&R that he didn't want me to have. The transfer out of my country got me out of Vietnam a month early. Getting out of Vietnam a month early meant that I was not there when our outfit was overrun. The only time in the entire time that we were overrun, which means hand-to-hand combat, or things like that. When I did find Carlos, the only guy that I really found that I served with, and I asked Carlos about that, because when I got back to the States, I'd heard that the company was overrun, and the guys that we served with had 73% casualties. And I said to Carlos, was that true? And he told me, oh yeah. He said, no. He said, it was true that we got overrun. But he said everybody was killed or wounded. I don't think that was everybody in the whole infantry company, but everybody in the 81 millimeter mortars. Carlos himself got hit with a grenade and had shrapnel all over him. Joe Barre lost a leg. Sergeant Adams got shrapnel in the chest. So now I think about this woman and the fact that if I had not been young like that, if I had not been so determined to get back to a woman that I'd made a contact with, I would have been there. And I would have been among the killed or wounded. So the net effect of my experience with her was that in some way she saved my life. These are things you don't think about when you're young. They only come around, you get older. That's my story about talking dirty.